Hi, my name is Mike McGrath. I'm an international business and finance major. And the issue I'm addressing is what the role of business in society is and how it relates to ethics. Um, I'd like to start off by just introducing business ethics, what it is. And what it is just how individuals or organizations in the business world ought to act. There's three levels to it, and the ones I'm primarily concerned with are the micro and mid-level, which deals with individuals, and at the firm level. And business ethics really sprouted up in the mid 1900s as corporations became much more dominant and people began to question how businesses should be acting. And some of these normative business ethic questions are questions like how should a corporation act and what should its purpose be and who should it serve? And these are the questions questions and issues I'm primarily looking at. And then as a little case, in Nike's case with child labor, what should its purpose be? If it's trying to generate profits at all costs, then maybe child labor could be considered just. But if we're considering its purpose to act socially responsible, then this is of course completely unethical and completely unjust. So these questions have wide ramifications on how we treat how businesses act. And the two primary philosophies on this issue are the shareholder theory and the stakeholder theory. The shareholder theory holds shareholders of utmost importance, and generating profits and creating wealth for them is the business's sole goal. The stakeholder theory states that the ultimate goal is to advance the interest of all stakeholder groups. And by all stakeholder groups, we mean employees, customers, basically anyone in society who is affected by the business's actions. Now, first diving into the shareholder theory, this quote by Milton Friedman, who championed shareholder theory, it really sums it up. So shareholder theory really says that there's only one responsibility of business, which is increasing profits, as long as it stays within society's rules. Essentially, the business of business is business, as Friedman said. But this theory goes back even further, really, to Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, which in it, free markets, the invisible hand of self-regulation, and the importance of self-interest were really championed. So we can see this theory really emphasizes liberty and letting individuals and the market dictate supply and demand and who gets what. And this theory also leaves government and NGOs up to solving social and moral issues. So in this theory, the business is only concerned with economic responsibilities and leaves any other issues up to governments and society to figure out. On the contrary, stakeholder theory is concerned with all the stakeholders who are in come into effect of businesses. Looking at the pyramid I posted, you can see while at the bottom the economic responsibilities are still the most there's still a foundation of the business. The business also has ethical responsibilities and philanthropic responsibilities. The business is required to be a good corporate citizen here, and they can't just do anything to generate profits at all costs. And this theory has really sprouted up recently in the 1980s, and now, just the last couple of years, the Business Roundtable, which is a group of like around 200 CEOs, including Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook of Apple. So this theory is really growing in popularity recently, and a lot of people are starting to embrace it. Now I'd like to ask you some questions of how do you want companies to act and what ethical framework guides your thinking? And this is a really tough question because you need to consider from CEO, shareholder, the employee, and the customers. How would you want to act in all of these different situations? Now tying it back to the ethical significance, we can think about these two theories in terms of liberty and justice. Which shareholder theory really values liberty and gives as much liberty to the business to do whatever it needs to do to maximize profits. But of course, this will result in inequality and inequity. Meanwhile, the stakeholder theory has less liberty because it has much more responsibility to all its stakeholders, but this will result in a much more equal and fair distribution. And lastly, we can consider utilitarian, which is going to create the greatest good for the great amount. All right, thank you for watching my speech.